Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my Daily Dose with Tim. Today is season 3, episode 9, and it's a continuation of what we started so far in all the previous episodes. However, the most closely linked to the one that we just started in the previous one, which is episode 8. And today, the topic is how to break the middle class curse. And I think the funny thing is, if you've actually watched the previous episode in terms of how to escape being poor, now we're going to move up a little bit, so to speak. And I think this is also why a lot of people, they tend to go, okay, you know what? The next level up from being poor is to become a bona fide middle class. And the funny thing is, I really have noticed over time, though, that the middle class is really at the most danger, financially speaking, simply because of the way that they think about money and how money runs their lives. And I'm just going to say that again. It's about how money runs their lives rather than them having control over understanding what money is and how to leverage it properly and what you can do to actually change your own life and in some cases the lives of many others. And first thing first, though, I got a really cool comment in a DM yesterday, and I just want to say thank you for your message. You know who you are. Is the fact that you are saying that these episodes of my Daily Dose with Tim has been really helping you out when you are truly seeking something different. And that nothing makes me happier than that, simply because of the fact that that's really all I truly want to do. If you look at the descriptions that I have put down, I really just want to help others get to the point where money no longer is a stressor in your life, in your relationship or relationships, because I know it was one for me in my relationship, in my personal and most intimate relationship, and the relationships that I have witnessed in my parents and other people and friends and family. And so with that said, I just want to say thank you. And for those of you who are kind of taking away the same thing, and I'm really hoping that I am just making some sort of positive impact a little bit at a time and every single day. And that's why I call it my daily dose. And so with that said, though, and some of you actually have said to me that you enjoy that I'm teaching, I'm sharing, and yet I'm talking to you like a friend. And I am, because in a way that's how I want to share information, because I think we've all heard of the phrase that you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And that's just it. And I know for some of you, as much as you're resonating with some of the content, maybe you're just not ready for whatever reason yet. And so while I do believe that time is everything, a lot of the times timing is also everything, because especially from my perspective, and really now, having started Trust Your Talent Academy as a grander vision and vehicle to help me deliver financial education to the world, I mean, I feel very blessed and grateful to have this opportunity to impact people's lives. However, as we all know, the teacher will appear when the students are ready. And so the fact that you're here is more than enough for me. And I hope that you continue to listen on, continue to stick with me, and just let a little bit sinking each day. Okay, so today I really want to speak to how to break the curse. And I know this sounds a little dramatic, and I meant for it to be, simply because of the fact that I think the middle class mindset is really the most dangerous one today. Because if you think about what we covered in episode 8, is the fact that right here, in a way, the economic conditions tend to shake people that are operating in the poor mindset a little bit less, because they will always do whatever it takes to keep their income or incomes, and then they will spend what they make. Which is great. However, one of the biggest things about the middle class thinking, and as a result, behaviors, is the fact that, let me just fix that a little bit. Sometimes my tendency for OCD kicks in a little bit. So, and I know this kind of looks like I have a killer slant too on the screen, but that's only because of the angle. Anyway, coming back here though, this is the whole idea, is the fact that middle class, how most of us, before we can break the curse, before we can escape it, this is how the middle class operates. And again, I know this because I'm guilty of it too. Once upon a time, this probably controlled 99% of my thinking and my behavior when it comes to money and investing and budgeting and all that. I mean, the only thing I think positive somehow that I had going for me at the time was the old school traditional Asian mindset is you got to save and save and save and save. And then later on, I realized and learned really the hard way that savers are losers. Because savers really, I mean, we'll go into that in a little bit. I know previous episodes I've already talked about it. However, let's take a look at this behavior first and foremost. So for the middle class, typically speaking, we are the bona fide examples of go to school, get good grades so that you can graduate, get a good job, and that job is going to hopefully pay you well, give you promotions, and so you can continue to get raises, and hopefully they give you benefits, they give you pension. Sometimes they'll even contribute to the different retirement funds for you, as well as company stock options, for example. I know that's very, very popular, especially in giant corporations and in the tech industry also. So with that said, what happens though is that what the middle class does is that because they focus so much on the one single job that they invested their time, money, and effort in getting a degree or some sort of training and skill set in, that's all they do. And so this is why, funny enough, a lot of the times the poor hold 2 jobs or 3 jobs. The middle class, they tend to just hold 1 job. And that's why I actually bracketed the S in this case. And so what happens though is that this is something, or a phrase that I learned after I moved to Canada, is something called the American dream. The American dream. It means that now that you have income, guess what? You have the ability to borrow and leverage to buy things that you want and things that you want now. And so that's where it gets a little dangerous, because in the previous episode, I did talk about the fact that one quick way to break through and escape the poor mentality is cultivating the skill to delay gratification. Because I know these days, especially with tablets, with cell phones, everything seems readily available. And so our attention span has been cut down even more. And our attention span is also directly linked to our impulses to want to consume something, to get something, and that we deserve something. And over time, it also breeds that entitlement mentality. However, that entitlement mentality is not new, and it's really deep-rooted, especially in the middle class way of thinking, because I have worked so hard. I know this was me. This was definitely me. I worked so hard. At one point, I was working 80 hours a week. And so a lot of times when I'm teaching and sharing, I ask people, how many hours do you think you actually work? Some of my friends, they still work 35 hours a week. And a lot of them, if they're in a higher position in corporate scenarios, usually they will say about 60, 65 hours. And so if you average that out, if you work a 5-day-a-week job, 60 hours a week, that's 12 hours a day right there. Now, how did I pull 80 hours a week? Well, because I was bringing work home and I was traveling for work purposes, sometimes on Saturdays and on Sundays. And for example, I had to manage different teams across 4 different time zones before I had my 3rd heart attack and was forced to take a break. What happened was that every other week I would have to travel to support one of my teams. And I live in Edmonton, Alberta. Sometimes my teams are based in Vancouver, some in Victoria, BC, some in Toronto, and some in Calgary, Alberta. Regardless, the point is I would either have to drive or fly. And so some of you might be able to resonate with this, because this might be your life right now. It's the fact that on Monday morning, typically speaking, we are there for Monday morning meetings. And so we don't want to actually have to get up super early at say 3 or 4 o'clock to catch a flight or to start driving, because if you're tired, that's actually quite unsafe anyway if you have to drive. And so the choices tend to be very obvious, especially when all your other coworkers are doing the same, which is On Sunday afternoon, you basically get ready to do your business travels so that you get to the hotel Sunday evening so that you're prepping and get ready for Monday. And then once you're done with the week on Friday, instead of going home right away, and it also depends on the time zone too and the travel schedule, you might just decide, I'm just going to stay an extra night and I'll go home first thing Saturday morning. And so all of that added up to 80 hours a week. I used to sleep with 2 BlackBerries next to my pillow. And so some of you might be a little too young to know what BlackBerries are because these days are Androids and iPhones. However, I slept with 2 BlackBerries under my pillow for quite some time, and it was not fun, okay? And because of that, every opportunity that I got, I started to look for distractions. I'm making all this money. Granted, I thought it was a lot. Looking back now, not really, because again, remember, the poor and the middle class, the biggest expense is taxes, okay? However, it doesn't just go straight out like how the poor behaves typically. Is the fact that now I'm making more money, my appetite gets a little bit bigger now. And so I want nicer cars, I want a nicer home theater, I want a nicer house. And so we learned, the middle class learns to take on debt. So we start to acquire liabilities, car loans, mortgages, bigger mortgages. Maybe you buy nicer furniture on credit, or you even shop on credit a lot. And so we learn to get into bad debt. This is all bad debt. And this is why, again, you really want to think about what you're buying all these things for. And this is why these days for me now, stuff doesn't matter anymore, because I've been there and it really did not fulfill me in the long term. However, this is how a lot of us behave. And like I said, I'm no stranger to this because once upon a time, I definitely behaved like this. And so we would acquire bad debt, and then every single month the bill comes due, okay? And then we have to use our paychecks after tax dollars to debt service everything. And so effectively, it's money in and it's still money out. It's just that in between, we take a little detour. However, that little detour is what puts the middle class in the most danger whenever there are economic movements negatively, simply because of the fact that, again, think about it this way. So many of us today are worried about interest rates, okay? Interest rates are going up. And especially if you are buying items on personal loans, lines of credits, as well as your mortgages, maybe they're coming up due, maybe you decided to go into a variable and it's floating with the rates. And so as a result, your income may not be enough to cover your expenses. And that's the thing. By the very definition of what bankruptcy is when you are defaulting on all the bills that you're supposed to be paying. Okay, so there comes a time when your income levels will just no longer catch up with all the debt servicing that you need to do. And so this is why we keep saying or hearing people even talk about the fact that the middle class is dying. The middle class is dying. You either become the wealthy, the rich, or you start to go into the poor segment, because ultimately you will lose the liabilities that you have because the force of economic conditions and situations. It's not voluntary. Nobody wants to voluntarily lose their houses, lose their cars, lose a lot of the creature comforts that we've worked so hard for. However, it's so easy to get wiped out. And this is why I know for a fact that so many people right now are stressing. They're stressing about inflation, how expensive groceries are these days, and gas to put into our cars, and electricities, utilities, and basically just generally speaking, everything is going up in prices. However, are the values going up? No, because you still got to eat. you still got to drive, you still got to commute. In order to commute, you still got to put gas into your car, and insurance tends to go up as well. So to protect your house, to protect your vehicles, you still have those. Everything keeps going up, 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 up. However, is the value you're getting as a person from all these things going up? I think that is one of the biggest questions that we need to learn to ask ourselves. I didn't learn to ask myself that. One of my personal development coaches at one point asked me that. And this is why, if you've heard of one of the sayings from Warren Buffett, it really makes so much sense. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. And so again, the funny thing is, if you're looking at my hand gestures right now, price is what you get. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. In most cases, when you focus on acquiring materialistic things, you tend to look at it this way. However, if you start to think about price is what you pay, and as you develop the investor mindset in terms of return on investment, if price is what you pay, and you understand that value is what you get, maybe not immediately, however, over time, you learn to start to think like the wealthy and the rich, because the rich and the wealthy, they play the long game instead of instant gratification. And so here's a quick example. I'm pretty sure almost every single person that I've asked this question to, and it's a bit long-winded, so bear with me here, is that, can you recall a time in your life that the stress, whatever the stressor may be, that level of stress prompted you to think or even say out loud, I don't care how much I gotta pay, just make this thing go away. I don't care how much I gotta pay, just make this thing go away. So see, that's the thing. If you can recall a time like that in your life, that is when the price completely outweighs, outweighs the value that you will be getting. Okay, and by outweigh, and that's my poor English, I mean the value you're getting is completely outweighing the price you're paying, as in the price you're paying becomes insignificant compared to the value you think you will be getting, in this particular case, relieving that stress from your life. Or again, just think about whenever you're super hungry, maybe you have a very busy work day, maybe you're traveling and you just have not had a chance to eat, and you're super hungry. And let's say for me, in a lot of cases, because I do my best to take care of my health these days, and I do my best not to put garbage food in my body, and healthy food tends to cost a lot more. These days, not so much an issue anymore. I don't even really look at the price, because I know the value that I'm getting in both the short term and the long term from eating healthy outweighs the price that I'm paying for it. However, I remember once upon a time when I was traveling for work, and that was also why I had a third heart attack, because it was really the lack of nutrition and poor habits on a daily basis that really induced that. Now, the point that I'm making is, I remember having a fixed paycheck, even though I got per diem from work during travel days. I just remember every time I'm at the airport, I'm only looking at fast foods, because for the most part, those are the only options, first of all. Second of all, the same fast food joints, when they serve you the exact same food that you would get outside in one of their chain stores, they tend to charge you 50% more, sometimes double. And in my head, it was just so hard for me to justify it. And so that's the thing. Okay, remember that as long as the value you're getting, both short-term and long-term, most of the times long-term, I will say, then the price becomes irrelevant. Okay, the price becomes irrelevant. And this is also why, again, my hope is to make sure that over time, you learn the skills for yourself and alter your mindset about money, so that money no longer becomes a stressor for you. Because not only will you see it for what it is, you will learn how to create financial abundance for yourself, so that you can make a positive difference not only in your life, however, including the lives of many, many others around you. And this is why, I truly love money. And this is why I've always said this. There is no shame in admitting the fact that we love money. In my opinion, it's no different than me saying, I love my cell phone, I love my computer, I love my dog, because all these things are meaningful things when we attach positive meanings to them. My life is not going to get any better or worse at this point with more or less money. That's the thing, because I see it for what it is. And I'm just hoping to help everybody get there, or as many people as I possibly can to get there as possible. And so this is the thing about the middle class mindset, once again, is that when we work so hard to make our money, we tend to tell ourselves that it is okay to get into bad debt. Remember, there's a difference between bad debt and good debt. And so in the next episode, finally, to wrap this whole thing up, I'm going to walk you through what you got to think like and how you need to behave as a result, so that you can slowly get into the wealthy and the rich mindset. And as a result, start to change the financial reality of your life. And so if you want to break this curse, pay close attention to how much bad debt you're allowing yourselves to get into, okay? Start to pay attention, because I understand sometimes it's very tempting. So in the next episode, as we discover how the rich and wealthy think and behave, you will see the solution. And so stick with me, come back and join me for the next episode of my Daily Dose with Tim. With that said, once again, I know one of the questions that you've asked is also, you mentioned during one of the episodes, a few episodes ago, that you can make every single day a payday for yourself. How does that work? Well, if you're leveraging real estate as your vehicle, it becomes actually quite simple, because depending on how many strategies that you're implementing, I'm just going to do some high level examples here for you. Maybe you're using lease options, you're using private lending, and you're using income properties, either single families, duplexes, or small multifamily or large multifamily, whatever the case may be. Let's just say that you have these strategies mixed together in your portfolio. You can technically set the rent due dates on a different day of the month. And I know some of you might go, oh my God, that sounds like a bookkeeping nightmare. However, what I thought was the same way, and what I found later on, was that it actually helped keep things, A, very interesting, B, it checked off a box of a goal that I set out for myself, and it actually kept me going, because there were times I would look at, okay, well, we filled 20 days out of the calendar now. There's still 10, 11 days to go, unless you're talking about February. However, most months have 30 or 31 days. And I just remember at one point going, that was the goal that I wanted to hit. So that was what kept me going. And so blending different strategies makes it a lot easier for you to accomplish that. And again, statistically speaking, an average millionaire these days has 7 or more streams of income. 7 or more streams. Maybe that's what you want to start with. Aim for 7 streams first. And in this particular case, if you're leveraging real estate investing, that could simply be 7 different properties or 7 different types of deals that you might be doing. Okay. And then the next step is maybe 14 streams of income. And then eventually you get to the 30, 31 paydays on a monthly basis. And I know, this is something that I've been doing over time as well, because sometimes I know it feels like once you get to a certain point, you've plateaued and you kind of lack that motivation. However, this is why, investing is a lot of fun, because you have full control. Once you learn how to execute these strategies, you have 100% control over how you make money and how much money you make and when you want to make them. And so, once we hit the every single day as a payday box or goal, we realized, okay, what's next now? And this is why for a while there, we were saying, well, how about this? Because we still sometimes, like I said, it doesn't mean that once you get to a certain mindset, you stay there. Because if you didn't come from that mindset from day one, you can revert back to where you came from. And so for me, I still had the urges to buy things back then in my earlier days. And so what that means is, instead of buying bad debt, how about we buy good debt? And when do we typically find excuses to spoil ourselves? Well, special holidays like birthdays, like Christmas. And I know some of you even celebrate all the other Hallmark holidays like Valentine's Days and I don't know, maybe even St. Patty's. Anyways, the point is, what my partner and I have decided to do is that during those special occasions, so that typically means 2 birthdays a year, Christmas, we did make it that way, and our anniversary as well as Valentine's. So 5 times a year, we will acquire a deal once we became financially free, so that we were able to set a goal that is fun and we keep things interesting. And obviously the goal is not just 5 deals. There were certain dollar amount in terms of either lump sum income, equity income, or passive income that we are looking for. So if you recall the circle of wealth, within those 5 deals that year, we also specified which income bucket we wanted to feed into. And so hopefully this gives you some aha and light bulb moments on how to keep things interesting for yourself if you are already at a certain level, meaning you're not a newbie. You've already been investing and you've got a couple of streams of income, if not more, and you're kind of feeling that lull right now. So I just wanted to share a little bit about what we've done to keep things going as well. And for example, last year we turned 40 and we said this year we're going to add 40 doors into our portfolio. Obviously, every single door, we had a minimum target cash flow of $125 a door. And so you can now count how much passive income we've added. And then funny enough, as it turned out, instead of only adding 40 doors last year, we actually added 99 doors. 99. I'm gonna be completely honest though, on December 31st, I almost wanted to buy something just so that I can say 100. But anyways, we ended up with 99 doors last year because we turned 40 and we said the goal was 40 doors and then we added 99. So there you have it. How you can keep things interesting as well. Maybe this will be another standalone episode at some point. We'll see. Anyways, on that note, thank you so very much again for joining me today. And I hope that you have an amazing rest of the day. I will see you back here tomorrow for episode 10. In the meantime, live well, everybody.